Chaos at Political Reform Forum. Egypt's new president inaugurated. And the United States pledges more aid to Ukraine.
Good evening. Chaos erupted at a forum on political reform at City University today. Those attending the event discussed ways to make the nominating committee for chief executive candidates more representative. Our Joelle De Silva reports.
In her opening speech, the Chief Secretary for Administration reiterated that the nominating committee is the only mechanism for nominating chief executive candidates. So if we want to make real progress on electoral reform, we must work on the issue of the nominating committee, Carrie Lam said. Those attending today's forum, organised by Civic Party lawmaker Ronnie Tong, included both pro-establishment and pan-democratic legislators as well as academics. All of them have suggested ways to democratise the nominating committee without going for civil nomination. Mainland academic and basic law committee member Rao Gaping suggested having future CE hopefuls each express their political views to the nominating committee and have committee members vote on each of them. Then a yet-to-be-decided number of those with the highest votes can then stand for election in accordance with universal suffrage. But University of Hong Kong law professor Eric Zhang worried this would become a screening process. Rao also said procedural issues should not be politicised. But his comments upset many groups that support civil nomination. Some of them rushed onto the stage, unfurling banners and yelling slogans, demanding the right for the public to nominate CE candidates. Similar disruptions broke out several times throughout the forum. A key question being debated here today, how to increase the representativeness of the nominating committee, leaves out the issue that's on the back of many people's minds, civil nomination. And that is why those protesting are not happy. Lam was also met with protests outside the venue and accepted a petition letter from the demonstrators. And they chased after her car when she refused to engage in a conversation with them. Tong said protesting outside the event is fine, but called the insults directed at the forum participants unacceptable. João Da Silva, TVB News.
Meanwhile, members of a pro-government group showed up at an RTHK forum on the Tiananmen Square crackdown today, upset that they didn't get an invitation to it. And there was also trouble between moderates and radicals fighting for a reversal of the official verdict. Stephanie Choi with that story.
Before the forum, members of Defend Hong Kong campaign criticized organizers for not inviting them. Those that were invited included the chairman of the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China, Lee Chuk-yan, Civic Passion's Wang Yuntat, and lawmaker Claudia Mo. One member of the pro-government group, Fu Chun-chung, brandished a box cutter. RTHK called the police who took items away, including the box cutters. During the forum, Wang Yuntat accused the Hong Kong Alliance of not really fighting for the interests of the Hong Kong people. Alliance chairman Lee Chuk-yan says the movement to reverse the verdict on Tiananmen is directed against the Communist Party, not the people of China. He criticized Civic Passion for organizing a rival event in Tsim Sha Tsui on the night of the June 4th vigil. Lee Chuk-yan went on to question the effectiveness of Wang's movement, which Lee described as simply walking down Canton Road shouting at mainland visitors. He called on Wang to take real action. Wang stressed he was not biased against visitors from the mainland and was simply offering another option for those who want to mourn for the lives lost in the Tiananmen crackdown.
We just want to provide another choice and provide an event, invite more people to join us.
After the forum, Lee had to be escorted out of the venue by police officers as members of Civic Passion tried to stop him. The police also stepped in when members of Civic Passion clashed with pro-government protesters. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Turning overseas now, Egypt has a new president who was officially sworn in today. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has been handed the reins of power in a nation that's been plagued with deadly unrest since 2011. Former Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is now officially taking charge of Egypt in a 4-year term. His inauguration comes less than a year after the 59-year-old career infantry officer ousted the country's first freely elected president, Mohamed Morsi. Today, al-Sisi entered the hall walking side by side with outgoing interim president Adli Mansour. He took the oath of office before the Supreme Constitutional Court, the same venue where Morsi, now on trial for charges that carry the death penalty, was sworn in 2 years ago. In his address, al-Sisi pledged to take care of the people's interests and restore security in the country. The somber ceremony was attended by the Prime Minister's entire cabinet, as well as al-Sisi's wife and children. To ensure the inauguration went off without a hitch, thousands of security forces sealed off routes leading to the venue. Sunday was declared a national holiday, and tight security was also enforced throughout Cairo. Many world leaders are attending the inaugural reception. Al-Sisi claimed victory in last month's presidential election, where he garnered 97% of the vote. He brings Egypt into a new phase in its tumultuous drama since the 2011 pro-democracy uprising that ousted autocrat President Hosni Mubarak. Critics fear al-Sisi will show little tolerance for dissent, but his supporters see him as a symbol of hope for restoring stability in Egypt.
Well, Ukraine's new president got a big helping hand during the first day on the job. The United States has pledged more financial aid for the troubled country and its fragile democracy. James Aiken with the story.
It was a welcome vote of confidence for a country teetering on the brink of bankruptcy.
We're committed to, we found another close to $50 million. I can pledge to you today to work along many lines of efforts, including your border and other things that may be useful initially beyond the $1 billion pledge. It's because, you know, the election was testament to the Ukrainian people's determination.
Biden also promised aid packages to Moldova and Georgia, which, like Ukraine, are also experiencing rising tensions with neighboring Russia. Last week, the United States announced it would help build the defense capacity of all 3 non-NATO countries. Those countries are all pursuing association agreements with the European Union.
Every nation in Europe has a right to choose with whom they will associate. No one has the right to interfere with. And that position has not changed.
While hopes are high as President Petro Poroshenko takes control of a country mired in crisis, many in the rest of East remain unimpressed with the new leadership. We don't have the same path as Poroshenko. It is impossible for the East and West to be together, says this Kramatorsk resident. I don't know what will happen. We hope for the best, but we'll see, says another resident. Tensions in the region flared again hours after Poroshenko was sworn in. An aide to a senior political figure in the self-declared Donetsk People's Republic was shot dead on a street. Separatists claim it was actually an assassination attempt on the local leader. In Slavansk, parents took advantage of a short negotiated ceasefire between separatist militants and Ukrainian armed forces to send their children away from the violence. Poroshenko has called for rebels to lay down their arms and said he welcomes dialogue with the insurgents. But he also said he will not negotiate with those he referred to as gangsters and killers. James Aiken, TVB News.
To Spain, where yet another anti-monarchy protest has been held following the announcement by King Juan Carlos that he's abdicating. Thousands of demonstrators rallied in Madrid yesterday, demanding a referendum to decide whether Spaniards want a monarchy or a republic. It was the second time in less than a week protesters had taken to the streets of the capital. Critics point out that the king, who helped smooth the country's transition to democracy in the 1970s after the Franco dictatorship, seemed increasingly out of touch in recent years. Now, many of the demonstrators said they want to live as citizens, not subjects of the monarchy.
Colombia's leftist FARC rebels have declared a 3-week ceasefire ahead of a June 15th presidential election runoff. The tight race pits incumbent President Juan Manuel Santos against his conservative rival, Oscar Ivan Zuluaga. The rebels don't want to see Zuluaga elected because they fear he would impose tough conditions to continue peace talks, a prospect that could lead to a return to all-out war. Zuluaga favors a hardline military strategy against the rebels. Meanwhile, both the government and rebels have agreed to set up a truth commission to investigate the deaths of thousands of people in the decades-long conflict.
And still ahead in our newscast, more fallout from Friday's chaos at LegCo. Jitters in the retail trade over projections of slowing growth. And Maria Sharapova reigns supreme at Roland Garros.
You didn't tell anyone about my father, did you?
How thrilled Stephen must be to have his father back.
Dad, we're back at war.
The founder created the ultimate weapon.
It's time for us to end this.
We gotta go.
I am doing this to protect you!
You have no idea what you've done.
The Tomorrow People, Tuesday at 10:50 on Pearl.
Disney Live, 3 classic fairy tales live on stage. Be enchanted by Snow White, captivated by Beauty and the Beast, and dazzled by Cinderella. See you August 27th to the 31st at Star Hall, Kitek, Kowloon Bay.
珍貴時刻，用心儲存 ，Store Friendly。
And we're back tonight with more local news. Legislative Council President Jung Yok-sing admitted today he allowed peaceful demonstrators to enter the LegCo building on Friday in a protest against the Northeast New Territories Development Plan. And as Vicky Kung reports, pro-establishment and pan-democratic lawmakers are at odds on how to handle the incident's fallout.
Protesters stormed the Legislative Council building 2 days ago in their campaign against the Northeast New Territories Development Project. Today, LegCo President Jung Yok-sing revealed that the LegCo Secretariat had sought his opinion on how to handle the matter. Jung said the protesters were generally peaceful earlier in the day and he gave them the green light to stage a sit-in.
During the most part of the afternoon, members of the public who went into the lobby area behaved very peacefully, and so they were allowed to stay in the lobby.
But Jung pointed out that the situation took a turn for the worse when another group of protesters stormed the building and clashed with security staff, leaving a number of people injured.
That was why, at that stage, the Secretariat decided to enlist the help of the police. And I believe that they did the right thing. Nobody inside the complex should be under any kind of threat for their personal safety.
Pro-establishment legislators spoke out against the chaos. They plan to present a petition to Jung tomorrow asking the LegCo Secretariat to improve security arrangements. They say there's no reason to allow demonstrators inside the building when there are designated protest areas outside. Chan Kam Lam of the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong also accused other lawmakers of providing support to the protesters. But Kenneth Chan of the Civic Party disagrees, saying members of the public should be allowed to express their views. Chan also